In corporate training, most run an activity and then just move on. Training isn't about talking at people. It's about behavior change. Activities without thoughtful, deliberate debriefs are just events. The debrief is the bridge that converts contemporary experience into permanent behavior change. So today, I want to show you an easy-to-remember debrief technique you can use after any training activity. It's so easy, it's only based on 3 questions. What, so what, and now what? Super simple, right? So let's break it down. The first question is what, as in what happened? What are the facts? And you can kick this off with questions like, what exactly happened? Or what did you do? Or what was the result? You do need to keep in mind that you may need to ask multiple what questions to get the group to describe the facts of what happened and remove any judgment. For example, instead of focusing on how Bob was being aggressive during the activity, which is an interpretation, you'd want to shift the focus to how Bob interrupted 3 times during the activity. So facts versus judgment. And the goal is to create a shared reality of what happened so that you can analyze that in the next step. Once you've established that shared reality, you move into the so what step. This is where you ask questions that move the group from descriptive to analytical. And again, you may need to ask several questions to get there. Some examples of those types of questions might be, how did you feel about what we saw happen in the activity? How did what we saw line up with our values? Where else have you seen similar reactions or behavior in your daily work? And what patterns are you noticing? These types of questions start to uncover the implications behind the shared reality you created in the what stage. Throughout this process, focusing on open-ended questions, not closed-ended ones, is something you're going to have to build a muscle for. If you want a deeper dive on open versus closed-ended questions, I have a video on exactly that. You can open it by clicking the link here. Open it in another tab. So to recap where we're at, you've agreed on the shared reality. You've unpacked the implications. Now it's time to drive it home. So what is going to change going forward as a result of this new knowledge? So things like, what will you do differently after this experience? Or how can you prevent this from happening in the future? Or how will you change your approach in similar situations? This stage isn't just connecting the dots, it's a commitment. A commitment to apply a skill, a behavior, or whatever best practice you're training on. So that's the model explained. Let's see how it plays out in a real scenario. Take a training activity. Picture a leadership coaching training where one leader plays the direct report being coached and the other leader acts as themselves doing the coaching. Just a standard role play. In the what step of your debrief, you might ask, what did we see happen in these mock coaching sessions? Or how often was each stage of the coaching framework that we talked about actually followed? Or when was it not followed? These questions will achieve that goal of building a shared reality of the facts of what happened. Then you move on to the so what step and ask questions like, how did the coaching feel when the framework was being followed? And then how did it feel when it wasn't followed? What areas of the framework seemed hardest to stick to? These types of questions will get the group analyzing and interpreting what happened, and then you move to step 3, the now what step. Because we found that this part of the framework is consistently the hardest to follow, what should we do going forward? Or now that we've seen the conversation is more productive when the framework is followed, what steps can we take to make sure that we follow it every time in the future? These types of questions are connecting the dots and they're getting the commitment that you're looking for to follow these best practices going forward. Now, just for fun, let's look at a second, completely different scenario where your group has just completed a scavenger hunt during onboarding. They were tasked to find some important pieces of information or content that are scattered through the company intranet to help them get used to using that internal tool. A very common activity type. After this type of activity, a lot of trainers would just leave it at that. They would not debrief. However, a debrief here can really help cement key takeaways. So starting with that what step, you might ask, how many of us were able to find everything on the list? Or What did you spend the most time looking for? Or maybe even what was the easiest to find? Again, highlighting what happened, the facts of the situation. Then you move on to the so what by asking questions like, what are the patterns among the things that were difficult to find? What are the patterns of the things that made things easier to find? Now you're helping them interpret the facts of what they saw and went through during the activity, which leads us to the next and final stage, now what? And you'll ask questions like, knowing what we know about what's hard to find, what can we do going forward? Or when building content for the intranet, how will we make sure that things are easy to locate? Again, following this model helps get participants the hands-on experience they need, and it gets them thinking critically about how to use the intranet going forward. Not just to find information, but to build it in a way that actually serves people. So that's the framework. What? So what? Now what? And it's truly the only debrief model that you'll need. It will take some practice. You'll need to develop some muscles around it. But career development can't be entrusted to people who themselves aren't being developed. So be diligent in developing yourself. If you're serious about growing as a corporate trainer, follow me to get notified of new content like this. If you're new or interested in getting into corporate learning and development, check out my free corporate trainer interview crash course to help you land a job. The link is in the description. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it to help others find it as well. My name is Jordan Taylor with the Corporate Training Companion. Until next time.